Hey, it's Mark Horton. Welcome to my podcast. I'm here with Nick Maciag. I'm a loan originator with NFM Lending, and Nick is a realtor with Compass, correct?
Yes.
We're here today to maybe not talk so much necessarily about business and real estate, but about a topic that Nick and I both really enjoy, and that's just generally like, what do you say, like mindfulness, self-improvement, personal growth, that kind of stuff, because I will say that resonates particularly well with me and my business and my life. I think you could agree that it doesn't matter what sector of business you're in or what you do, these things can help you. And I love the topic mostly because it feels like the more I talk about it, the more I kind of embrace it.
Absolutely.
So let's just kind of get into it. But before we do too much, tell me just quick update on where you're at, what you do, where you're from, that kind of thing. And then I'll do a little bit about myself as well, but
Yeah,
go ahead.
absolutely. So like you mentioned, I'm a realtor at Compass on the Jenny Marrigy team here in Richmond, Virginia.
Right.
I'm a newer agent. I actually was in the advertising industry for about a little over a decade as a creative copywriter.
Yep.
Living in New York City for a long time, I met so many friends through this industry. It was amazing. Yeah,
I love New York City.
I mean, it's hard to leave,
Right.
but Richmond has treated us so well. I met so many great friends in that industry. I now met my wife.
Yeah.
We moved right at the height of the pandemic.
Crazy.
We moved end of March, like the day New York City shut down.
Right.
Got here to Richmond. I was still working in advertising, but then I kind of started dabbling in real estate, just finding different avenues, and then I started investing. I started buying, doing buy and hold rentals, and then fell in love with the industry. The realtor that I worked with on those deals was amazing.
Yeah.
I saw his lifestyle, and I just thought that's something maybe I kind of want to do.
Yeah, good.
Started to pursue it. I like to say that I got algorithmed into it just through YouTube. I met other agents just off of YouTube as well. Joined their team. Had a great experience there.
Yeah.
And then now we're here. I got to meet you because of that.
Yep.
And that's kind of the short and sweet of it. Like I said, I'm new. It's challenging, but it's great. There's something to be said about not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So just, right now, we'll get into more about like personal growth and mindset and how that's helped me take that chance and that leap.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just taking it day to day.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure it out as I go.
Yeah. Well, two things. One, so you moved from New York City to Richmond, Virginia. I moved from Los Angeles to Richmond, Virginia. And there's something about that I think triggers that the fact that you did that somewhat recently triggers a lot of like kind of reminders of what it was like for me to do that.
Right.
Because this town is a town of very connected people.
Yeah.
And we're from a big city, and you move in here and it's easy to feel like it might be hard to break into that because so many people, went to high school with so-and-so or they've got neighbor connections, they've got family connections, they've got school connections, and you don't have that necessarily. I mean, maybe I think your wife has some connections or something like that, but that can be intimidating. And for me, that was intimidating. However, I will say this, when I told the story of why I wanted to move here and what I was doing, a lot of people I found embraced that and were very welcoming, and it actually went quite well because I had a story to tell.
Right.
And it was a whole like personal growth thing. I moved here for quality of life. I wanted to start a family. I wanted to buy a home. I wanted to work in a community that was a little bit more tightly knit, in that in Los Angeles, if I did a transaction, it was very unlikely that I would ever see them again or hear from them again. Here, you start connecting the dots, and it's very quick to build a community. And so that was amazing, and I think that you'll probably see that if you haven't seen that already. It's cool the way it works, and then it's also fun to work with people that you like, and Richmond just did all that for me.
Right.
So expanding on that and the personal growth and the stuff that you and I connected on when we first met, we got into some books. I got to tell you, you put me on to what I think is my favorite book. Atomic Habits is one of my favorite books that I've ever come across.
Right.
We can get into some others, but I'm going to tell you why I like it so much. In terms of all the I don't want to say self-help has a weird connotation. I don't like that term, but personal growth, I think self-improvement maybe is better. But why I like Atomic Habits so much is it's not like the others, like you said, where you can read the whole thing and you're like, you know what, I probably could have gotten the gist of that if you had condensed it into about a 10-minute thing, told me what that was, and then I'm done, because I get the idea, and you're just repeating that concept over and over. With Atomic Habits, it's almost like he's introducing new topics within the concept throughout the whole book all the way to the end. Like there's stuff about accountability partners. There's stuff about habit tracking. There's stuff about, avoiding bad temptations and immediate gratification versus delayed gratification. Like he just continues to expand on it over and over. But I mean, my takeaway from it in general is that if you want to make improvement in something, anything, you want to make it, one, easy for yourself, but two, make it easy to celebrate the benefit of it in the short term rather than the delayed satisfaction of getting that effect later on. Example, you may not want to go to the gym, you may not enjoy the workout, you may not see the benefit of the workout that day, but over time, if you keep doing it over and over and over, even just a little bit, a year from now you're going to see it. But if you can somehow give yourself the benefit of doing that right away afterwards, you can start to give yourself reward and develop in a much quicker, easier way by just recognizing that what you're doing over time is going to be great. Now, I'm going to stop, and I want to hear your impression of it because I'm fresh off the book and I loved it. The concept is a big concept of personal growth, development. Tell me what you think about the book, that book in particular, and feel free to talk about any others. But I really love the book, and I think even after reading it, I could go back and read it again. Actually, I'll tell you that I listened to this one. And side note on that, I love when you do an audio book and the narrator is the actual author. And that's how it was with this one.
And they drop little nuggets here and there.
Yeah, and he's great. I mean, the guy's super impressive. So anyway, tell me what you thought about that book. And we talked about it before, but it's great.
I think one of the reasons why that book has become so popular and so many people gravitate towards it is that it actually gives actionable steps. So let's say you kind of touched on the fitness, right? Let's say somebody wants to lose 20 pounds. That's a great goal, but it can become kind of big. And what
intimidating.
Intimidating. And what Atomic Habits does is that it helps you to chunk it down. So then you can start creating a habit tracker, so that you can become a person that is able to lose those 20 pounds. I think that's the biggest thing that I got from it was not, how to lose. Let's say you want to lose 20 pounds. It's more of how to become the person that loses 20 pounds. So, again, that's a big goal, but then you can chunk it down into, maybe that might take you 3 or 4 months, but then from those months, you can turn it into weeks and then days. And then that's where the habit tracker comes in. And, for me, a habit tracker, that's probably the biggest thing that I learned from that book. The habits being drinking enough water a day, meditating, journaling, going for walks, working out, things like that. And then once you can see those things that you start marking off in that habit tracker, it starts to compound over time. So then, like you said, if you keep doing those things daily, you might not see the instant gratification, but then 3 months from now, you step on that scale and the 20 pounds is gone. So that book, again, it just gives you those actionable steps and it's not so heady. Because a lot of times, we discussed this before, when you read these types of books of personal growth and mindset, sometimes they just become entertainment. Right? It makes us feel good because it gives you that instant gratification of I loved reading this, it makes me feel good, I'm going to implement a few things and then I'm going to stop. And then you pick up the next book and you do that. And again, it just becomes entertainment. Truthfully. So we can discuss other books too, but that one, for anybody listening, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Listening to it is great because, like you said, James Clear, the author, he narrates it and he drops a little bit of nuggets and expands on certain topics. But reading it is fantastic too.
Yeah. So it reinforced something that I was taught a long time ago. I use what's called a greatness tracker. And if you're in mortgage, it's a very common tool. It's a legal sized piece of paper that maps out your day and all the different things you're supposed to be doing every day. And so when you do one, you fill it out and you try to fill the sheet so that by the end of the week, the sheet is full. And so it might be making sales calls, it might be doing appointments, it might be, name any activity, posting on your Instagram, shooting a video, etc. Right. And so as you fill this out, day after day, hopefully you're filling in the sheet and you get the gratification of the sheet filling up over time. But the bottom line is, if you do these things, you will be successful. Everyone will tell you.
Absolutely.
And those are the activities, but you don't always feel like doing them. And let's say the day gets away from you and you're supposed to make 20 sales calls and you leave and you don't do any. Atomic Habits will tell you that just tomorrow, if you didn't do any today, tomorrow just do one.
Right. Literally
do one. And then say, I'm going to do one, that's it. The guy in the book also recommends, like, even going to the gym, go for 5 minutes.
Right.
If you can't go for 5 minutes. That's easy to go for 5 minutes. Then go for 5 minutes again, and then go for 5 minutes again, and even go for 5 minutes and stop. And that may sound ridiculous, right? But it's so easy to go for 5 minutes. And if you create the habit of going for 5 minutes and realize how simple that is, then you find you're going to the gym, you're like, well, I might as well stay for 10 or 15, and you go from there. But the repetition of the activity is what gets you there. And it doesn't matter if you even do it in a minuscule way. If you did it that way that day and you didn't do it at all the day prior, and you continue doing it that way, even over time, you will be successful. Right. Hence the name Atomic, which is a tiny little piece. But anyway, that's a cool one.
And I think what that does, like you were mentioning, each time that you show up, you're actually changing your identity.
Yes.
So that you go from somebody who didn't go to the gym to somebody, yes, I'm a gym goer.
Right.
And then you start to turn into, I'm a gym goer that goes for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and things like that. So that's kind of one of the best takeaways from that as well.
I love that one. Atomic Habits, you can download it. It's a book you can listen to. It's a book you can read, but that's a good one. The other one that you put me onto, which I haven't started yet, but I purchased and I'm going to do next, is Gaining the Gap.
Yeah.
And that's a concept that I love as well, because I think that people do get stuck.
Right.
And this concept is one that if you get it, I think that it can change your whole outlook on everything.
Absolutely.
And so talk about that one, because I think that one's important for people, because you don't just tell me what it is and tell them what it is, because I think it's just a good idea to have in the back of your mind all the time.
Yeah, so the book is The Gap and the Gain by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. And the whole concept is that, we are chasing happiness, and the way that we measure our happiness is through our ideals, right? Like, let's say as a loan officer, you want to close, let's just say 20 deals, right? This week. That's your ideal. But let's say you don't get the 20 deals, you get to 16, and you're upset. But you're not actually you're measuring yourself towards that ideal instead of, hey, on Monday I had 0. I had 0 deals, I got to 16. I should be happy with that.
Right.
Or you're measuring yourself to maybe somebody else in your office is doing, 30 deals. And you're like, I need to get to 30 deals because that's the top.
Yeah.
But you're measuring yourself towards somebody else's ideal instead of your own. So the whole concept again is to try to measure yourself towards your past. Where were you last year? Or last week? Things like that. Because again, if you start measuring yourself towards this ideal that you haven't really even ever achieved before, you'll never gain that happiness. So that's really what it is. It's such a simple concept in the book. Thankfully, it's not like, we talked about where it could just be a blog post. Every chapter is just kind of hitting on the same note, but all actionable steps. And in there, it talks about changing your identity, talks about tracking. On another note, one of the things that I've learned throughout this whole kind of personal growth experience is tracking is the number one thing that is popping up throughout everything.
The theme
The
throughout.
theme,
Right.
yeah, is to track your numbers, track what you want to do daily.
Literally writing it down.
Absolutely.
Or checking a box, or
Right.
crossing something off.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure if this is true. It's been said that it is true, then it isn't true. But there's this thing. I'm not sure if you heard of Jerry Seinfeld had a giant calendar.
Yeah.
And
That was a part of Atomic Habits.
yeah, right.
Actually.
And he would put an X every day. He just wrote one joke.
Yeah.
And he just liked. He became obsessed with seeing the X's.
Yeah.
Not the outcome of the joke.
Whether it was
just,
good or not, didn't matter.
Right. Because if you keep doing it over and over again, eventually you're gonna get one good joke at least, right?
So you're right. That's a theme in both books.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also a piece in Atomic Habits where he didn't want to break the chain of doing it.
Right.
Like you get a momentum of doing it. He didn't want to have that day where he didn't do it. Don't beat yourself up if you don't. Just get back on it afterwards. But that's a great concept. Is just again the satisfaction of achieving that one little thing rather than beating yourself up for not doing it.
Right.
And I think that's super important. You want to celebrate the victory, and also the achievement will come. Maybe the outcome will come later, but celebrate the activity that you did. Because if you can give yourself a pat on the back for that, or give yourself props for doing that day, then you leave feeling accomplished, whether the outcome came or not.
Right.
And I think that's important too, because we live in a competitive world. It's tough.
Yeah.
But I think that doing these things will make you happier. It's just a mindset type of thing. So there's a couple of examples. So Nick, I will tell you, trying to break in as a realtor, it's so hard because you have these people doing tremendous volume. You have these people that have these connections you don't have. I think in terms of mindset, I think you just need to believe that you're a sharp guy, you're likable, you're knowledgeable, you're going to get it, you're going to get there. But that confidence, and I think these books can help you build that confidence. And, I sit down with a lot of people, different personalities, different styles, looking at you. I mean, it's very natural in sales to want to work with somebody that you like. So I think that immediately you sit down, you're a presentable person, you're a happy guy, you're fulfilled. I think that if you can take care of that in your personal life, it shows. And then I think that when you go to meet with people, it's an attractive quality. And I think that it makes them want to do business with you. So that's why this topic is relevant to our industry, but anything that you do, literally, if you're happy, you're fulfilled, you're challenged, you're stimulated, I think that's a very contagious thing that people will gravitate towards.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an energy. People can just kind of feel it.
Yeah.
Right?
So, that's why we touched on this today. Honestly, I could talk about it for an hour easily, which I think we did last time, and I want to do it again. But there's a couple of things, and I'll post maybe a couple of those books on there. Maybe we'll put a link to the author and so forth, so if you want to go check it out. But Gap in the Game, Atomic Habits. Throw a couple others out there. I know I talked to you about Real Less Stupid, which is about finances and not making mistakes, really thinking about big business decisions before you make them. What are a couple you want to throw out there?
The classics, you always say Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's what set off the chain reaction of me just eventually leaving my job. The Compound Effect is another good one.
Right.
The same author of The Gap and Gain, Who Not How, is another book of his.
Tribe of Millionaires.
Which is fantastic. We talked about that group to Abundance.
Abundance kind of evolved from that, or that's
it's the founders of that group wrote that book. And it's really talking about who you surround yourself with, having accountability and people that believe in you to help you achieve the next level. So those are kind of the best books to get into, in my opinion.
And books for me, I have a stack of books next to my bed that I've never read. I can't read books. I can't have distractions. If I go to a coffee shop and try to read a book, I'm looking around, I'm listening to people's conversations. I can't do it. Some people can do it on a busy subway, they can do whatever. I find that listening to books is better. And just on the Atomic Habit kind of note, I found that if I listen to books, one, I can do it when I'm getting ready, for work or whatever. I can do it when I'm driving, so I can have a sort of mindless activity going on in the background. I found that like when I go to get ready and take a shower in the morning, I want to listen to a book, but I couldn't hear it. My phone wasn't loud enough.
Yeah.
So just the factor of getting a portable speaker and having that charged and ready in my bathroom that I can connect to and make it loud enough for me to listen to has facilitated me reading and listening to more books. Because it just made it easier, right? And that's the whole concept. So since then, I've been doing a bunch of them, and I'm kind of on a roll with them. And I love that now I'm kind of addicted. You kind of get addicted to listening to these. But there's a few there that I would recommend. And so if you want to get in touch, I'm going to put your number out there just because we are in the real estate business. If you want to put your information, plug your Instagram, plug your cell phone, plug your company. I'm going to do the same. It'll come up on my page, but go ahead. So phone number, how do we get in touch with Nick if you want to work with him?
Yeah, so my phone number is 804-508-4265. I work with the January team here in Richmond. We are a part of Compass. Compass just came into the Richmond market, so it's super, super exciting. So yeah, if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, I'd love to give you help.
Yeah, so January, top performing team in Richmond for I don't know how many years, and Compass, top performing realty firm, I believe nationwide, or I mean just something at scale. And just broke into Richmond there too, so you're on track with some really top performers.
Yeah, super exciting.
Good. Well, thank you for coming. I enjoyed this as always, and everyone, thank you for listening. And if you want to get in touch with me, my information's there. And have a great day. Hopefully this was something you enjoyed.